Polish-American Groiper says, Nick Fuentes says, America First Show is the least racist show on the web. He loves everyone. He's a God-fearing Christian, isn't he? AF is all about love of our nation, our people, and our values. So true. I am definitely not racist. If racism means hating people, I don't hate anybody. I love everybody. I'm a Christian. I'm a lover. You know, I just am a lover of people. I love everyone. Blacks, whites, Chinese people, everybody. I love Hispanics, women. I am a lover of all people. Muslims, can't get enough. But I am racially conscious. That's all. Just cognizant of the dynamics in our country. That's it. Big Rams says, I started working in a public pool a few weeks ago, and it completely vindicated everything you say on this show. Certain people just don't understand the rules apply to them. Yeah, it's just a phenomenon. And that is what it is. A country is only as good as the people in it. If the people don't follow the rules, well, you're going to get a country without rules. You're going to get a country without standards. And you can witness that anywhere. Walmart, the mall, the airport, the bus, the public pool, just about any, McDonald's, any public place, you can see this. You know, go to Target, go to Walmart in a diverse city, and just see what goes on. Just see what goes on. You go to any mall, and, you know, the mall is the most red-pilling thing there is. You go to a mall in, like, California, then you can count the white people that are there, number one, and then you look at these, you know, certain groups of people that just they just flagrant the rules. Kids running everywhere, screaming and crying, climbing on stuff, and just, you know, people not putting things back where they belong. Just huge problems from people that just don't know how to act. You know, it's like, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's the shopping cart test. In a high-trust and civilized society, when you go to the grocery store and you have a shopping cart and you take it out to your car and you empty your groceries into your trunk, you put the shopping cart back into that thing. I don't know what you call that, but you put it in its proper place. It costs you nothing. It's not inconvenient, and it helps the next person. It helps the people working at the place. You know, you're not blocking a parking spot. It's just pro-social, high-trust, civilized, considerate behavior. And that is a perfect example of one of these behaviors that, if it's not observed, it just makes everybody's life harder. It's a demonstrable way in which the quality of life declines in a way that you don't really think about if you just get people that are inconsiderate and don't follow the rules. People that just do not think about those around them. It's what it is. That, like, social consciousness. Certain people, and the people that built this country, put away their shopping carts. The new people don't. They don't put away the shopping carts. And that principle applies to everything else. They don't put away their shopping carts. They don't wait their turn. They don't get in line. They don't put things back where they're supposed to be. They just generally act with callous disregard for everyone else living in the world. And, I was on a plane when I was on my trip. I went from Florida to Arizona, and I was in the middle seat. No, I'm sorry. I was in the window seat. And there was a gentleman next to me in the middle. And you know how everybody gets up when the plane lands and people are supposed to leave the plane from aisle to aisle, starting with the aisle closest to the cockpit and going all the way back to the back of the plane. You know, the 3 people on this side will get out and 3 people here and then the next aisle and so on. And there's maybe like 3 aisles ahead of us that still have yet to deplane. And this guy sitting in the middle climbs over the guy in the aisle seat, climbs over him, this old-timer, climbs over him, gets his bag out of the overhead bin, and then pushes and shoves his way through like 4 people in front of him, aisles still full on either side, and, storms out of the plane. Nobody says anything. You want to know why they didn't say anything? Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess why they didn't say anything. That's the kind of behavior. We've all seen it. So, Enemy AC-130 says, Black pill junkies are prone to do things that will send them to hell. The devil would love to both hurt our movement and drag someone to damnation at the same time. Keep the faith, God will win. So true. Yeah, don't get black pilled. Getting black pilled is honestly, it is horrible for you. It's bad for your health. It's bad for your mental health. it's just bad for you. You know, despair is not good. Despair is actually a sin. And out of despair, you're right, people do sin. So trust in God. If you don't trust me, if you don't trust Donald Trump, trust God. That's the best advice that I can give you. And ultimately, you have to realize that everything is temporary. Everything in this life, even when it might seem like it's life or death stakes, and it is, but it's life or death in this life. And that's not to say that it's not important. That's not to say that we're not going to fight. But ultimately, you need to have a sort of consciousness. You need to have this, not just a white consciousness, but also a consciousness of your role in the cosmos. You have to have a consciousness of your role transcendentally, so to speak. That you're not just a white person. You have a soul, too. And that actually matters, not just for your spiritual life, but also for your material life, too. You know, people think that, well, if I neglect my spiritual life, you know, well, I'm going to do what I want and maybe I'll get around to the spiritual stuff later. It's like by sinning and by going against God, you not only hurt your soul, but you hurt yourself too. Don't people realize this at this point? That things like promiscuous sex, it's not just bad for your soul. It's not just immoral. It's bad for you. It's immoral for a reason. You know, it is something that rips apart at the core of what you're supposed to be, at your essence. And that's the biggest white. You want a white pill? It's called Christianity. It's called, the biggest white pill happened 2,000 years ago, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. So, you know, if people get black pilled about our political situation, as pessimistic as you get, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You know, just might not be the light that you're thinking about. So, something to keep in mind. That's a good point. Cool Blue Square says, don't mind me just bribing my way into the America First compound since the world's going to shit. $3. It's going to cost a little more to buy your way into the AF compound than $3. And even then, I don't know if we're taking applications from super chatters. Except for Optics Respecter, maybe Simon Scola. We'll make some exceptions. ERD says, been black-pilled since I vacationed in East Asia a few years ago. My Chinese, Korean, and Japanese cities are nicer than any Western city. Vietnam is rising fast, too. Years from now, people look back on coronavirus as the moment in history when it became clear that Asia had overtaken the West culturally and economically. Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. You know, all these Asian places, they've got their problems, too. So, I don't know if I agree completely with that. I mean, we're nearing that inflection point. I guess in a broad sense, we're in the middle of a transition that it's something like that. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I guess we'll have to wait and see. You might be right, honestly, especially with the George Floyd stuff. I've never been to Asia, so I can't really say. I've never been to any of those countries. I've never been to those cities. I haven't seen what it's like. I've only, had hearsay. But I could tell you that a city like Chicago, notwithstanding the riots, is still a great city. And I honestly do believe that. You know, Chicago's got its problems, and in the South Side neighborhoods, you've got crime, obviously. But if you look at our Mag Mile, if you look at the Gold Coast, the Loop, it's a great city. It's beautiful. The lake, the river, the bridges, the skyline. I mean, it is a great city. So I guess I would have to see what the big deal is over in Asia before I'm ready to make a call. But certainly our cities are declining and Asian cities are rising. There's no doubt about that. So sooner or later, you're going to have that intersection.